Hello there, and good evening, or technically nighttime, but good night is often a way of saying goodbye, at least how I've experienced it. Weird intro aside, I had a bit of time, a bit of dead space here at the end of the day, and I thought I'd make a somewhat shorter video. But a little side project I had done is making my little Harry Potter-esque wand. It didn't really turn out like a Harry Potter styled wand with its fine, intricately carved designs, but for a first attempt, it is what it is, right? But without any further exposition, let's get into it. So, to start, you don't have to do what I did, but I had to go around and I found a sample of actual hawthorn wood. And that's only because on my Pottermore quiz, for any Harry Potter fans who have gone and done the quiz, it used to be called Pottermore. It's called something else now. But the point is, you're able to take personality tests, basically, and it'll tell you what house you're in and what type of wand you have and your Patronus and all these things. And mine was a hawthorn wand. And so I said, well, I want some actual hawthorn to make this wand. So I found it, and it was of a perfect shape. Perfect shape, because as you can see with the curve, it fits right into the hand. And with the slant, if I grip it further up, it fits right into the palm as well. So in both cases, it fits perfectly, and I love it. I don't have an initial picture of the wand when I first got it, but it did have, it being hawthorn, each of these little bumps, there was a thorn, very sharp, so if you have this, be careful. And that is the first step, in fact, is cutting down and then sanding where the thorns were. A future note, this was about 1/2 inch or so in thickness. I would, in the future, get a sample of wood that is thicker at maybe 3/4 or an inch, just so I have a bit more material to play with, because here I was a little constricted with what I could do. But I do like what I accomplished, for a test run, because after I took off the thorns, I really worked on sanding this all down. From here up, I stripped the bark off. I kept the bark at the bottom. It was an aesthetic choice, which is odd because in the end I wrapped it in a bit of leather and extra copper wire. But I did that, and the former thorns, I guess the little bumps, I'm just going to call them that, those up here, I greatly sanded down, almost to the point of non-existence. Whereas down here, I let them remain just a little bit. And then down here at the base, I almost didn't touch them at all. The reason for that was later on, I wanted the wires that are wrapped around to kind of plug in, quote unquote, into the knobs, as if they were vines coming out of the actual wand. So from there, I would continue to sand down and also kind of whittle down a little bit, alternating back and forth, until I got to a reasonable thickness that I wanted, a sort of taper. This section, I didn't really do too much, a little bit. This section, I did a bit more, and in the transition areas, I sort of blended in so that I do get a steady taper towards the end. But the hardest part was yet to come. From there, I kind of made some random patterns, right? And I drew those with pencil. And then I took my engraving tool and I slowly engraved those patterns, basically creating troughs throughout the entire wand. From there, I put in the wires. I would basically lay the wires inside those little troughs as much as I could, and every so often I would wrap, right? Every so often there would be a spot of glue just to anchor things, and then I would wrap some more and repeat until I got to the top. The unique thing is, I don't know how well the camera can pick it up. Let me see if I can really... You can maybe see the shine of it. But I have the 4 wires in a sort of cross pattern. But in the middle, right, in the very middle, I drilled a short hole. And I put a small segment of wire in there as well. Because on the reverse side, I did much a similar thing. All right, you can kind of see the shine there. I drilled 4 short holes and then a 5th one in the center. This kind of gives the illusion of everything running through the wand to the very end. You know, those 4 are basically the ones wrapped around, and then that 5th center one implies a core. I would have to actually say the most frustrating part was this end. Getting all this wrapped and anchored was reasonably challenging, but this end here, because it's just a shallow hole, it's a shallow hole that I then glued the wire into. And then from there, I have to sand it even. You can immediately see what the problem is. Multiple times upon trying to sand the surface even, the little wires would fly out. And I'd have to replace and try to, as gently as possible, sand it down while not losing the wire, you know? But we got there, finally. Finally. After that, I then took an interesting thing I found at Home Depot, because what I initially was going to do, what I still might try, I'll talk about that when I get there, but what I found at Home Depot was a 2-in-1. This is a 2-in-1 that both stains and seals, so that way, you know, I didn't have to put stain and then a thick clear coat. This was a 2-in-1. I put 2 coats of that, and it came out decently stained. Not too dark. I didn't want to have it too dark, but the first coat didn't really do much. I think it was not as strong as I thought. So 2 coats of that, I think, did pretty well. And then I finally wrapped it with just a thin strip of leather as well as extra copper wire to give myself a bit of a thicker grip. And that's why I said that in the beginning I would probably get a thicker piece of wood to begin with, because the grip was a bit, what's the word, lofty. It wasn't quite, didn't quite fit to my hand as far as circumference of my grip, if that makes any sense. Shape-wise is fine, I said, but it's a bit odd. You know, I have to almost over-grip, you know, the wand. But the original plan, what I might still try, is actually putting some proper stain on, and then a clear coat, a thick actual, you know, gloss coat, and see how that does. Of course, on a different wand, right? I'm probably going to, now this time, just pick some sticks out of the backyard, kind of give them the same sanding treatment, use this same 2-in-1 on one, and use the separate stain and clear coat on the other. Just get a general comparison for future reference. But yeah, that's the wand. And like I said, first time it's a bit rough around the edges, but I am actually quite impressed with how it came out. The balance is reasonable, and I'm just a sucker for like the whole brown, earthy color and then the very shiny copper color. You know, it's almost like a steampunk wand, but without all the gears and brass. I like it. and I can't get over how well it fits into the hand. The thickness problem isn't so bad if I kind of spread my fingers out, you know, but even then it's a bit awkward. I'm proud of it. So, that will just about do it for today. Um, it's getting late. I'm going to go to bed. And if anybody has any like pointers on this type of thing, please let me know. Because working on something this delicate, you know, where I'm having to carve all this out and try not snapping the wand, um, definitely was, you know, just a bit of a learning curve, you know. So I'm gonna, you know, hopefully be looking forward to any pointers in the future. I'll continue to read up on this type of thing. Maybe get some design ideas as well. I'd like to really try my hand at this again. You know, maybe not with wire, but instead of just painting in the patterns, you know, something simpler. So yeah, hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you for joining me tonight. Hope everybody's having a decent Monday, start off to the week. And I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace.